making a stick with a brick in the sand, riding a wave in the wake of an old sedan, sleeping alone in the drone of the darkness, scratched by the sand that fell from my love, deep in my dreams, and I still hear her calling. If you're alone, I'll come home, backward and homebound, the pigeon, the dove, gone with the wind and the rain on an airplane, born in a home with no silver spoon. I'm drinking champagne like a good tycoon, sooner than wait for a break in the weather. I'll gather my far-flung thoughts together, speeding away on the wind to a new day. If you're alone, I'll come home.
Hey everyone, welcome to MT Guitar and to another edition of Pink Floyd Friday. Today we're doing a really fun one, Tropez. This appeared off of Meddle. Totally a Roger Waters song. In fact, the only song on the album that was without collaboration. Roger brought it completely completed. I think the backstory is there was a little bit of a rush to get this album done at the end, and so this was kind of thrown in there, had to be recorded quickly, but in true Pink Floyd fashion, it didn't take away from the quality at all. And there's a lot of unique things about this song. One thing is just the vibe and the feeling of it. It's pretty jazzy. No doubt that's inspired by the sunny atmosphere of Tropez, which is in the south of France. A town that Pink Floyd had a close kinship to because in the previous summer, 1970, they were on a tour and they rented a house down there and had a really great time. Had a really warm reception at one of their shows there. And so they had a fond memory of Tropez. And Roger was capturing that sunny atmosphere there in the south of France with this song. So musically speaking, this is really interesting because we have some very nice jazz chords. And it's kind of hard to pin down for sure, but it seems like maybe this was strummed on a Gibson J45. And my Southern Jumbo is pretty much a J45 with mahogany back and side, so very similar guitar, so hopefully captured the feeling there. So back to the music side of things here, we have some great jazz chords. I would consider this song to feature some beginning jazz chords if you're looking to throw in some chords that are not bar chords, not open chords, somewhere in the middle. We have these nice jazz chords. So we have a G major 7, which you don't see every day in the pop rock genre, or even in the Pink Floyd catalog, although Richard Wright played jazz chords all the time, but we don't see them a lot from Roger or David. So here we go on a G major 7 with a swung rhythm. And one thing, if you're a jazz player, you know about the importance of laying down a nice quarter note groove. So every beat is felt, every beat is played, and the upbeat is kind of a lazy swing, right? Now we have a C dominant 7, and the bass is going to go between C and G here, okay? But then when we have the sort of the chorus or the alternate section here, he goes to a dominant 7 to A7. Now it's possible he was playing a bar chord, it's kind of hard to tell, but his vocal melody really nicely fits with this G7. So I'm going to go with this. You're welcome to just play a regular G bar chord. But the nice thing about this is it's very consistent with the earlier major 7 with one note change. Goes up to A7, C7, D7. And we can't forget about the beautiful slide solo that David Gilmour played, where he harmonized himself. So I'll teach you that as well. But the main brunt of this lesson will just be the jazz chords here and the quarter note groove strumming. There is going to be a tab of this on the Patreon, and do check that out. And a big thank you to all the patrons there. Having a great time over there. And we are doing group lessons if you're interested in the higher tiers. Other than that, please do subscribe, hit the bell icon, and it really helps a lot on the channel. All right, let's go ahead and jump on in. All right, so I forgot to mention in the introduction that we learned a very important skill with this song, which is muting. When we have these jazz chords, everything can be muted with our left hand lifting off. That's how we get that sound. I'm lifting to create a swing rhythm. As opposed to if I didn't lift, it would sound like this. Very different, right? So that's me never lifting. So if I lift, I create a groove. And it's something that I didn't even realize as I was talking about the song. Kind of take it for granted once you learn these things, but it's a really cool skill to have. You can do it with bar chords. You know, the same thing applies, right? You can just lift and create a rhythm. So that's something that you can work on throughout this song. Now let's cover the strumming pattern, and then we should be good to do that strumming pattern throughout every chord of the song. So it's kind of nice. Even if we just mute the strings, I can teach you it right now. Then we'll get to the chords. All right. So we're gonna go first down, down, up, down, up, down, up, like this. That's basically the pattern throughout the whole song. So again, down, down, up, down, up, down, up. The other pattern would be 2 downs and then 2 down ups, like this. I find that a little easier when I'm singing, so you might want to do that as you're singing. Very dependable. Now, we can just say the right hand is taken care of because that happens throughout all the chords. All right, so now for the chords, the intro is actually a D7 before the verse starts. So that's a C7, up 2 frets, and you want to kind of mute the 6th and 1st strings as best you can. It's not a big deal if they ring out. All right, so we're going to go beat back and forth between the 5th and 6th string. A very nice sort of alternate bass technique there. So that would be D7 over A. Okay, and then we do 2 bars of that. So it's 3, 4, D7 over A, D7 as I reach, and then we come to our verse. All right, so that's the intro, very short. Now for the verse, it's a lot of G major 7 and C7. So here's a G major 7, 3, mute, 4, 4, 3, mute. So, really useful major 7 chord. For jazz, we see major 7 chords all the time. So that's just a stock traditional voicing there that has been used for about a century now for jazz. It's really nice. I mean, you don't see it in pop and rock because we don't see a lot of major 7 chords in pop and rock, but they're there here and there. All right, so that's a G major 7. This time we don't alternate the bass. It just stays there. So we're going to go the same pattern. 3 as I reach for a peach, slide around right behind the sofa in Tropez. And now we go to a C7. This time, same thing with the alternating bass, C7 and over G. We repeat. This time we extend the G major 7, old sedan, and tell sedan. All right, so 2 phrases. The second phrase is a little longer. That's why it kind of helps to know the lyrics, or not memorize the lyrics, but just to know the melody a little bit and have the lyrics as kind of there as a reference so you can follow along. So to play both of those phrases, 3 as I reach for a peach, slide around down behind the sofa in Tropez. Okay, next phrase. Breaking a stick with a brick on the sand, riding a wave in the wake of an old sedan. So that G major 7 was a little longer. All right. Now the third phrase, we go to G dominant 7. So that's 3, skip a string or mute a string. 3, 4, 3, mute. All right. If that's tricky for you, this can be a lot for someone not accustomed to jazz chords. You can just play a G major bar chord. It'll be basically the same thing. So totally free to do that. I wouldn't do open because we need to move it. I mean, you could. If you really were just beginner, you wanted to do G and A open, there's nothing wrong with that, I guess. But I would recommend this if you can, or the bar chord. All right, so we're going to do G dominant 7, And he says, 3, 4. Scratched by the sand that fell from my love. Up to A7. Okay, now C7. Still hear her calling. D7. Oh no, come home. Okay, so that's the entire verse. Then he goes into another verse, but it's kind of different. It's more of a bluesy progression. It's back and forth between G major 7 and C7 in a more dependable rhythm. So it's 3, 4, backward and homebound. 3, 4, backward and homebound, the ridge and the dove. C7, gone with the wind and the rain on an airplane. Back, see? No silver spoon, I'm drinking champagne like a good tycoon. Okay, back to our chorus, so that's G7. Again, same thing as before. Thoughts together, C7. And then, if you're alone, I'll come home, home. Alright, now the slide solo. That's all over that same progression, like this. Okay, so the slide solo is the exact progression that we just played, the second verse progression. And then you're back to a third verse and chorus, so it's all the same there. So that's it. Now let's switch to the slide and learn that slide part. I'm just going to do it on acoustic for ease sake. But of course it sounds really nice on electric, but I don't have my amp on right now, so I'm just going to be real quick and just do it. When you have slide, I recommend fingers. You don't want to use a flat pick because you need to be able to mute the strings. All right, so there's 3 parts harmonized. The first one is, okay, is that. Okay, so we're going to go 12th fret, 2nd string, slide from 10 to 12, and then back to 8. And then it lays out for the response. So that's 2nd string, 12, 8, 12, 8, and then rest. Then it just repeats. Okay? Now the next part harmonized is 3rd string, 12, all the way down to 7, twice. Now it continues 7 to 3. So that's 3, 4. Again. Notice that I'm muting the other strings with my thumb, middle, and ring, and I'm hitting it with the index. This is the technique that Derek Trucks uses and a lot of great slide players and George Harrison used. You kind of want to make sure everything's muted because if you don't, it's going to be a lot of noise, especially with electric. All right, so that's the second part. The third part is 12th fret, 4th string to 9. And I'm going to hit it with my thumb. You're welcome to do index like I just told you, though. There you go. That's probably better. Now, the response is A to 5. Again. 12, 9. 8 to 5. Okay. Now that we've learned that part, then the harmonies go away. And in fact, I just remembered the high E is tuned down to a D. So let me do that real quick because it's... I might go a little out of tune now that I'm doing this. But so you have an open G chord at the end of your first 4 strings if you tune that down to a D. Now we're ready for our do dee dee ba da da da. All right, so that would be 12th fret. This is the G major triad here. Everything on the first 4 strings, 12th fret. We're gonna go 10 to 12, 4th, 2nd, 3rd strings. Now you slide up to 15, and then 13 to 12. And then you slide up to 14. Now 1st string. Now 13 to 14. And then slide up on the 2nd string and then 14. So it's... Then you slide up to, gosh, 17. I probably shouldn't have done this on this guitar. Sorry. We're going to go from, now from 14 to 17. And you see you just hit all 4 strings. Slide up, 4th, 2nd, 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Now do the same thing up 2 frets for the D. And then you're done. Okay? So we got through it. So obviously it's easier with a cutaway to go way up there. So there you go. Hopefully that makes sense. And this is a fun one to do some beginning jazz chords, some beginning slide. And that's about it. Hope you have a good one. See you next time.